So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining and welcome to your Mindful Flow practice today. For those that haven't been practicing in the last few weeks, just a little reminder that in the last month or so, and I'm going to continue this through July, we've been taking a little bit of a deep dive into looking at the anatomy behind some of the poses. We certainly can't do them all, but for June and July, I thought I'd send us on a little summer school adventure. And so we've been learning a lot more about anatomy. And so this is more than just looking at how the posture is supposed to be aligned and how we're supposed to move in and out of it, although we will talk about that, but really thinking about what's happening sort of from the inside out and how the various muscle groups coordinate and work together, why some may feel weak or some may be stronger, and what we need to do to ensure that we are practicing safely within the scope of our own bodies. So, as always, this takes us a little bit more beyond just coming here and moving and flowing and feeling good, but really learning more about our own anatomy so that we can take this knowledge and move forward and apply that not just to what we do on the mat, but also throughout our daily life. So I'm hoping that if you have been following any of these previous classes, that it's been informative. It has been for me, and I've really sort of almost geeked out on learning some new aspects of anatomy and understanding how they apply to our yoga practice. So today we're actually going to be looking and digging in deeper to one pose that I bet we do almost every single class, maybe even in restorative, and that is Uttanasana, or standing forward fold. So standing forward fold, obviously we've got some stretching in the legs, but we've got a stretch that's really reaching from the back of the heels all the way up through the entire line of the back body. So a lot of times we just think about how our legs feel when we're reaching down to touch our toes, which is another thing we're not going to try to worry about. But we're going to look at the whole body, but also what we need to move into that safely and soundly. So that's what we have up ahead. If you don't already, have a strap nearby so that we can use that to do a little early stretching as we lay down here in just a moment. But to begin, let's find a comfortable seat on the mat, and we'll just take a moment or two to settle down. Let me get some music started from our nice relaxing music. If you'd like to sit up on a blanket, that's always nice for meditation or for just relaxing in a seated posture. You can take Sukhasana, or you could come into Hero's Pose, which was actually the posture that we practiced last time. So maybe that's a little more comfortable for you today. So just take a comfortable seat and let's take a journey inward, closing our eyes and just relaxing into the body. Take a nice deep breath in to start. Let that breath fill your lungs, top to bottom, side to side, front to back, and then let it out. Maybe let's do that again. Inhale. Exhale. And 3 times a charm. Let's try it a third time. Inhale. And exhale fully. And then just let your breath resume its normal, natural pattern. And feel the weight of your body sinking down into the mat, your seat. If you are watching this later, sitting in a chair, whatever you're doing, let your body just sort of ground itself and connect to the stable surface below. With your eyes closed or with your gaze softened and lowered, notice how when we eliminate the visual distractions, the other senses tend to come alive. You can notice that maybe your hearing is a little bit more sensitive. Perhaps you hear the music gently playing in the background. There may be noises or ambient audio noises in your environment. Sometimes the air of your vents, or maybe the noises outside, the birds, a car or a plane. And notice that your tactile senses are also more acute. Feel the sensation of the clothing on your body as it touches the largest sense organ of your body, your skin. Feel the texture of the floor or your blanket or your mat below. Notice the temperature of the air around you. Again, transmitting and communicating through the sense organ of your skin. And notice how all of these senses bring your awareness more internally, bringing you more present and grounded exactly where you are. Drawing your awareness to the very tip of your nose, the insertion point of the air as it's flowing in and out of your nostrils. Just bringing yourself to a sense of being deeply present, right here in this moment, and satisfied, grounded, and grateful. Allow your breath to just softly move in and out. Just for about a minute, let's relax and enjoy the feeling of simply being present on this beautiful day. Start to allow your breath to come in a little bit more energetically. Maybe take a deeper breath in, one more with your eyes still closed. Exhale. And start to allow your gaze to come forward, re-emerge in your space. Maybe you let yourself smile, and let's begin the rest of our practice. All right, so we're actually going to start by laying down on our backs. And if everyone who's joining live can make sure that you are muted, I want to make sure that everyone is muted. Hopefully. And then go ahead and lay down on your back. Excuse me. I have one little adjustment I need to make. Laying down, take your strap. Sorry about that. There was just a little glitch I had with my Zoom connection. All right, so take your strap. First of all, just extend your legs all the way down the mat. Inhale. Let's take a nice long morning stretch, pointing your toes, reaching your fingers far forward behind you. Deep breath in. Exhale. Bring your hands down by your side. And then grab your strap. Extending your left leg all the way down, we're going to take the strap around the right foot. So you're going to take that around the ball of the right foot, not the toes, not the heel, not the arch, but right across the big toe pad of the big toe and across to the pinky toe pad. And then walk your hands up the strap. Just a light pressure of your thumb and your index finger on the strap, and then let your shoulders gradually just slide down so that those shoulders are really relaxed on the floor. You're aiming to bring your leg as straight as possible, but a little bend in that knee is certainly fine to begin. So with this light pressure on the strap, take a slight stretch, pressing your heel up a little bit higher than your toes. And then breathe in, draw your straight right leg toward your head, bringing it forward toward your head until you feel a point of resistance. When you feel that resistance point, stop there. Do not move beyond that point. That is your body saying, whoa, this is where we are right now. We don't need to go any further. As always, we listen to the body and we honor it for where it is today. So just breathe into the stretch, feeling that resistance begin to relax, maybe even backing off of that resistance point a little bit, and just allowing that only the slightest sensation of reaching the stretch. Notice how the breath will help to soften the body even as you're stretching and pressing upward with the heel. The rest of your body can relax down. Imagine your breath flowing up from the back of your thighs all the way up and behind the knee and into the heel. As you breathe out each time, allow your right leg to just plant heavily down into the earth. So you're relaxing the muscles. And just follow that path of breath moving up the back of the leg as you inhale and then releasing and becoming heavy and soft as you exhale. Take 3 more breaths like this. If you notice that resistance point begins to shift or move away, then you can perhaps try to move the leg a little further towards your head. You may find additional space. Wherever the edge of your stretch presents itself, once again, pause there. Two more full breaths. And last one. Exhale. All right, let that right leg come forward. forward a little bit. Take both ends of the strap in the left hand only and bring your right arm in a T off the shoulder. Now relax your right leg and allow it to draw slowly to the left, just releasing it over the midline of the body, a few inches at a time, noticing as you do that that iliotibia band, IT band, is starting to stretch. And then relax the muscles of the legs, all the quadriceps and the hamstring, as you let the leg drop toward the left side. I don't even need it to come all the way down. I just want it to move slightly, maybe just a few inches. And relax and release. And notice how that sensation flows all the way up into the side of your hip. 3 breaths here, softly relaxing the leg muscles. Last one here. Very nice. All right. Inhale and bring the right leg straight up to the top. Bend the knee. Allow the straight right leg to extend all the way down the mat. And let's take that stretch to the left. So giving that same amount of TLC and compassion to the left leg. Bring it around the ball of the foot, straighten, lift the foot high, and then find that initial edge of the stretch. Like I said, a soft bend in the knee is quite acceptable here. We don't want to try to overstretch and create any sort of injury. So just keep the leg itself slightly soft. But then if you can, create a little dorsiflexion in the foot, meaning bringing the toes a little bit lower than the heel, just enough to feel a little bit more sensation. Now following the path of the breath again, as it travels up the back of the leg, starting at the base of the pelvis, rolling up the hamstrings behind the knee and into the heel. And with each exhale, let that left leg just become heavy and plant itself down into the earth. 3 more breaths here. Honoring and softening. Making it nice and slow to start this practice. Never in a rush to move through yoga. Not in my class anyway. Take both ends of the strap in the right hand. We're going to bring the left arm into a T off the shoulder to help ground down that side of the body. And then begin to allow the left leg to cross over the midline of the body and move toward the right side of the mat. Again, just a few inches is fine. It does not need to come down. We're not trying to create anything definitive here. We're just trying to feel the stretch and allow that hip to stretch in toward the center. 3 more breaths here. Last one, release that leg, let go of those muscles, and softly exhale. All right, bring the leg back up to the top, bend the knee, remove the strap. We're all done with it for this portion. You can just drop that off to the side. Bend both of your knees, hug your knees into your chest. Maybe a little rock from side to side, stimulating the spine, the sacrum, if that feels good to you here. And as you're ready, go ahead and roll on up. Come up to a seated posture. And we're going to come to a seated posture with legs outstretched. Okay, so hopefully you have a couple of blocks. We normally have our blocks, so I don't usually tell you to bring them, but we usually always have those blocks. And we're going to set those on top of the thigh bone, not the thigh bone, the shin bone, right, just below the knee. If you have a blanket, you can also place that on top of the blocks, just to give you a little bit extra cushion. So as I said, when we're going to look at standing forward bend, we're thinking about that bend moving all the way up the back side of the body, not just into the hamstrings and the legs. So we're just going to take a couple of minutes here and let the back body open up. So we're coming into more or less a restorative version of forward bend. And letting the head drop down, you're just going to let the back body round. Okay, so everything becomes very soft. Letting the forehead come down on top of the blocks or the blanket so that you have a landing place for the forehead. Letting your shoulders just go ahead and round forward. You can let your belly be soft. Boy, how often do we hear the cue, boy, just let everything go. It's never a bad thing, right? We can just let everything roll forward and feel the passive energy of gravity begin to allow your body to open as the weight of the torso drops forward. Notice that there is space being created between each of the vertebrae, beginning with the lumbar spine, rolling all the way up to the middle of the back, and then down and over the head. So we're going to stay here for about a minute and just let your breath flow softly and smoothly. Perhaps closing your eyes and once again just feeling yourself present in this place, in this space, without the mind being active or running on to the next thing. Just allow the body to be. Relax. Feel all the muscles. Just let go. Take 3 more breaths here. Do one more before we come out of this particular shape. Inhaling. Exhaling. And then start to lift your forehead up. Nice. Sit all the way up. Come up to a regular seated posture. Remove the props. Take your blocks, place them up at the front of your mat. And let's start to move a little bit more, kind of warming up the body now that we've created some nice gentle opening. Come into tabletop position or all fours. Knees directly under your hips, wrists, shoulders, and elbows stacked and aligned. Draw your belly up, lengthen through the crown of your head. Take a breath in here, a nice, strong, firm tabletop position. Exhale. And let's start to flex and extend the spine, coming into cow tilt, pressing the pelvis back, letting the belly drop down, scooping the heart forward. Breathe in for cow. And then exhale, tilt the pelvis forward. Let the back round up into cat stretch, head heavily dropping down. Release fully into cat. Deep breath, bring it back into cow. And then exhale to cat. One more time through, inhale to cow. And exhale to cat. Inhale and come back to tabletop position. Extend your right leg back, tap the toe down on the mat, and just practice sort of scooting forward and back, feeling the Achilles stretch as you create some flexion with the heel, and then press back, forward and back. And then lift that right leg up, bring it about the same height as your hip. Cross the right leg over to the left side of your mat, coming all the way off the mat, in fact, and turn and gaze over your left shoulder, peeking back at those right toes. Take a deep breath in and let the breath flow from the outside of the right ankle all the way up into and opening the right ribs. Bring the right foot back up and under, come back to tabletop position. Stretch the left leg back, tap the heel down, and just to start, shift your weight forward and back, just creating that dorsiflexion in the foot, pressing into the Achilles, waking up the calf muscle, and then lift that leg same height as your hip, cross it over to the right side and off the mat, turn and gaze to the right. If that hurts your neck, if you've got a tender neck, you don't have to look all the way back, just create the movement with the lower extremities. But feel the breath, again, moving from the outside of the left ankle all the way up through the hip and opening the rib cage on the left side. Bring the left foot back up and under, curl your toes, and let's lift up to a downward facing dog. Pressing the hips up to the ceiling, lift and extend. Lift those heels high, and you can also keep the knees soft as they need to be. We have done some stretching in the legs, but it's always acceptable to have a soft bend or even a generous bend in the knee. Breathing in, exhale one more time. Exhale. Come forward to a plank position. Drop the knees down, lower down to the belly. Take your hands slightly wider than your shoulders, pressing down through the tops of the feet and the lower belly. Engage. Press your chest forward, lifting up to at least a baby cobra. Neck lengthening long. Staying here for 3 breaths. Remember, the back of the thoracic spine is pressing forward. Shoulders are still relaxed. And if you'd like to come up a little higher, you can do so. Whatever feels best to you today in your cobra. Exhale and release it down. Curl your toes under. press yourself up, and once again, back to downward facing dog. Let's tiptoe the feet up to the front of the mat, coming to a forward fold. Knees can be soft here. In fact, you could let that belly just drop down onto the tops of the thighs and maybe sway back and forth. Let your head release. And then slowly start to lift up to a flat back. Remember, hands are either on the mat or they're on blocks. Coming to a flat back position, pull the belly in. Feel the extension of the lumbar spine forward as the pelvis tilts toward the front. Exhale, hinge forward and fold. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side, coming all the way up to the top. Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing hands. Exhale, bring your right hand by your side, left arm over the ear, right fingers reaching down to the earth. Inhale, right arm up, left arm swings down. Take that right arm over the ear, curving gracefully into crescent. Inhale, the left arm back up. Exhale, and forward fold. From forward fold position, step back with your left foot. Left foot back to a runner's lunge. From this lunging position, lift the back of the left thigh up. Reach your right arm forward. Stretch and reach those fingers as far forward as they can. And then rotate the arm up to the ceiling, coming into a lunging twist. Rotate that right arm all the way to the back of the mat. Reach those fingers back toward the left toes. And then carry the arm back up and around, creating the beautiful hand of the clock back toward the front. Bring the hand down and let your left knee descend to the mat. Remember, hands are on blocks or the mat always. That is your option. Left hip flexor now, getting a beautiful stretch. Inhale, bring the arms forward, up and overhead, reaching north and south to begin, lengthening through your spine. Press down through the big toe pad of the right foot. Take the right arm down by your side, left arm again over the ear, stretching those left ribs. And then take your right hand to your lower back. Back of the hand is on the small of the back. Bring your left elbow down on top of the right thigh. And then connect your hands once again to complete this lunging twist. Hands forward and back down to the mat. And then straighten the right leg, pressing both hips back toward the back of the mat. You can walk your hands backwards. You can have them on blocks, pressing into half splits. Deep stretch now into that right hamstring and IT band. So be gentle with yourself. Breathe. Inhale, lift and lengthen, looking forward. Exhale and fold a little deeper. Bend the right knee, come forward, lift that left leg back up to runner's lunge position and step it forward, forward fold. Inhale, rise to the top, lift up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Step back with the right foot this time, stepping back to runner's lunge, just warming up these legs. Nice strong back thigh on the right side, look forward. Left fingers reaching forward like there's a friend and you're trying to get them your hand. Reach and then rotate the arm up to the top, reaching for the sky. Complete the rotation, bringing it all the way to the back. And then once again, complete the cycle back up to the top and reach forward. Then bring the hand down and lower the right knee. Lift up, Anjaneyasana. Fingers first reaching skyward, just lengthening your spine up and down. Left hand comes down by your side, right arm comes over the ear. Take the back of the left hand to your pelvis, back of the hand pressing gently. And then take your right elbow, direct it down toward your left thigh. Press the elbow down and then connect your hands once again to create this twist. Bring everything back to center. Hands come back down to the mat or blocks, and then we'll straighten the left leg, rolling back over the heel and bowing down over the left leg. Breath flowing. Exhale. Feel into the stretch and honor your body for where it is today. Inhale, come forward, lift the right leg up, and then step the right foot forward, fold forward. Inhale, rise to the top, reach the arms up and overhead, and exhale, bring hands to heart. All right, I'm going to step back for just a moment. Just a couple of points, again, in our anatomy lesson related to Uttanasana today. I could probably go on for a whole hour just about this alone, but we're going to pack this into just a few minutes. So take away some points for yourself. So one of the things that I'd like for everyone to remember about any type of forward bend is that the bend occurs at the point of mobility, which is the hips. The bend does not occur in the back. If there's one key takeaway from any of my teaching classes, I'd like you to remember this. The spine and the pelvis must work as one. Meaning the sacrum, which is the fused part of the spine to the pelvis, must work as one with the back. In other words, the back is not independent of the pelvis. So when we think about moving into a bend, the pelvis is where the action begins because the mobility is in the hips, not in the back. So as we are bending any type of forward bend, we are first of all creating a little bit of a tilt in the pelvis, an anterior tilt, meaning that your hip points come forward slightly. And as they come forward, we are then hinging into that ball and socket joint of the hips. So that is where, and you can practice this along with me as we're moving here so we can get some practice. That is where the movement of the forward bend starts and ends. The sacrum and the lumbar spine are moving as one. Okay? That is point number one, very important. The second point is that while the mobility is in the hips, ball and socket joint of the hip has the most mobility of any point in the body, any joint in the body. But there are still some limitations. The ball, the femur, the head of the femur fits into that concave socket joint, but there is slightly more depth toward the center than there is on the outside. What does this mean for our forward bend? It means that as those hips start to rotate forward, it can sometimes and very often help to slightly tilt those hips toward the inside. And here's how I'm going to demonstrate that. If you take your feet and point your feet outward so that you're creating an exterior an exterior opening of the hips. And then bring your hands to your hip joints and attempt to come forward into a forward bend. Don't go very far, but just attempt. Do you start to feel a little bit of an odd, maybe not so good sensation somewhere in the hip socket? I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't go all the way down, but your body's not generally accommodating to that. And why is that? It's because the back of your hip socket is more shallow and there's no place for that hip to rotate. So it's pushing out and it's creating tension and strain on the connective tissue. We don't want that. We want nice, deep, juicy opening in the hips in order to accommodate mobility. So, coming out of that posture, bring your feet straight and then just ever so slightly kind of push those hips toward the inside. So it's just a little bit of an internal rotation, which you can accommodate through the muscles of the hip flexors and the adductors. So pull those hips slightly to the inside now. We've got those muscles engaged right here. Then bring yourself to your folding position and start to come forward. Just remembering that your pelvis is moving as one. We're hinging from the hips. And you should, under normal circumstances, feel a lot more free to come forward with that internal rotation of the hips. Why is that? It's simply because there's more depth, there's more room for those hips to rotate back. And I know this is always hard to teach in a virtual class. It's a lot easier when I have folks in front of me. But I think that those two demonstrations do give you something to work with as far as your forward fold. So that's the mechanics and the biomechanics of the hips and the pelvis that I wanted to express. Obviously, the rest of what we need to understand about forward bends has to do with the tightness of the hamstrings, which is why we stretch them to begin. The hamstrings are connecting just below your knee and just right into the base, the ischial of the pelvis. So they are meant to contract. That's their job, is to contract, to lift the leg, to help us walk. Their job is not to stretch. So they do their job usually very well, but when we try to forward bend, we're trying to ask them to go the opposite direction. Let me turn that music down a little bit. So we want to be very careful, and this is why we can get hamstring stretches and tears if we're not careful. So with your blocks in place, make sure that you've got those blocks there. Let's just come to the front of the mat and move through a forward fold. So first of all, feet are straight. Take that slight inner rotation, just contracting those adductors, inner thigh muscles to pull the hips toward the inside. Hands to hips, a little pelvic tilt. Push those hip bones forward. And then let your back and spine move as one with the pelvis as you come forward. Finding that point at which you want to bring the arms down then, and they can either come to your blocks or the hands can come to the mat if that's available to you. And then just let your body be drawn down, bringing some softness to the knees as needed. We never want to lock out the knees. We always want to keep them a little bit soft and open. But it's really up to you and your hamstrings how much of a bend in those knees you feel like you need to have at any given time. Now notice that when we're in a forward bend, we are not reaching for anything. We are just passively letting the body drop forward.
Gravity is doing the work for us. That's the beauty of the forward bend. So take a few breaths here. Just let your head be heavy. Release your neck. It should move easily and softly. And then to come out of the forward bend, we're going to again initiate through the hips, letting the pelvis and the muscles of the legs lift us up. Reach those arms out, up, and overhead, coming to the full extension with the arms overhead. And then bring your hands to heart and release. All right, now as I said, I could probably talk for the next 30 minutes about this because there's so much. Anatomy is so cool and there's just so many things to bring into it, but I think that that's at least a good primer and gives you some good, if you knew it before, you may have already known these things, but it's always good to refresh. So, so we'll just go ahead and move a little bit now, and with those points in mind, see if you can bring a little more awareness into a safe structure for your forward fold. All right, let's move a little bit before we've got to close this down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge and forward fold. From your forward fold position, step back with the left foot. Runner's lunge. Drop the heel of the left foot. Rise up, come to warrior one. Right knee bent, hips shining forward, arms rising up. Exhale, deepen into the posture. Just let yourself sink down into the foundation. Deep breath. Bring your arms out to the side. We're going to hinge forward again. There's that word, hinge forward, with those mobile hips. Coming to a flat back position, airplane arms. Inhale, arms rise back up. Exhale, airplane arms, hinge forward. Sweep the arms, inhale, back up. One more time. Exhale, airplane arms, hinge forward. Inhale, sweep and lift. Step forward to the front of the mat. Urdhva Hastasana, inhale. Exhale, hinge forward and fold. Walk, step, or jump back to a downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here. Exhale. 2 more. And again. Inhale, walk, step, or jump up to the front of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, rise to the top, hinging. Remember, moving everything as one, lifting up. Exhale, forward fold once again. Step back with the right foot. Runner's lunge to begin. And then we drop the heel of the right foot 45 degrees. Lift up, Virabhadrasana 1. Pause here, settle into the posture, strong legs. Breathe. And inhale. Exhale, arms at airplane position, hinge forward, strong flat back. Inhale, lift the arms, sweep them back up. Exhale, airplane, hinge forward. Inhale, sweep and lift. Exhale, airplane, hinge forward. Sweep and lift. Step all the way forward, both arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold.
step back to downward facing dog. 2 more full breaths here. Lifting those heels high, and then as you exhale, softening the heels down. Full extension. 1 more exhale. This time, inhale, come forward, knees down, and exhale back, child's pose. Stretching the body forward, extended child, arms reaching forward. Letting the full back body relax. Remember, those forward folds are for the full back body, so you're getting a nice stretch and opening down that whole line. And then inhale, come back up to tabletop position. Widen your knees a little bit wider than hips. Bring the right arm up, reach it up to the sky. Exhale, right arm threads down and underneath the left. Thread the needle and come down to rest on your right shoulder and just behind the ear. Beautiful opening for the upper back. 2 more breaths. Press down with the left hand. Bring yourself back up to all fours position. Left arm is going to sweep up. Exhale, down and under. Slide that left arm through. And come and thread the needle on the other side. Breathe into your upper back. Relax down. Nice. And then press back up, all fours position. Bring your knees back up under your hips. Swing your legs around and come to seated forward fold. This time we're going to fold forward using the same principles that we did in our standing forward fold. Now feeling if you're a little bit more open than when we began. Bring your arms up and overhead, pressing the sits bones down into the mat. Reach, and this time again, hinging from the hips, pelvis tilts forward, arms reach forward and down. Bring them to either side of your ankles. Let your shoulders roll back and stretch your heart forward as if it could reach your toes. Beautiful. Paschimottanasana. If you wish, you can take the big toe hold depending on how open you feel today. If that feels good and you want to grab hold of those big toes, press your elbows out to the side. Honor your body for where it is. All right, release the toe, lift all the way back up. Scoot your seat forward, grab yourself a block, and roll all the way down. I can't believe our time has gone by. Bring that block just underneath the sacrum. All right, so we did a bit of standing. Now we're going to allow the legs to receive some opening in a different way, bringing the sacrum right on top of the block. Lift one foot and then the other with your knees bent. And come into waterfall pose. So we want to make sure that that block is really settled on the flat part of the pelvis, right there on that triangular sacrum attachment. As you're ready, you can lift one foot up, see how that feels, and then maybe lift the second one. And then create
create some stability with the upper body, just making sure that you feel equally balanced between the block and your shoulders. And if so, your legs should literally just float up in the air with very little engagement on the part of your body. It's just kind of a miracle how they can just float and relax. And now we're just going to let the tension, all of the weight of the body, drip down from the toes, dripping over the thighs and the knees. Just coming all the way down to the earth. You can let your belly relax, let your shoulders relax. Perhaps even imagine yourself lying on your back with your legs in a waterfall. Be a gentle one. And that spray of cool water around you, maybe a rainbow. Just breathe. Bring yourself back to simply being present in this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. The rest of the day will catch up to you, I promise. Give yourself this gift right now. Up, slide the block out from underneath, and let the legs come all the way down. Just stretch them out. We'll just relax here a minute or two. Throughout the rest of your day, I'd like to remind yourself what a wonderful gift this was to take the time to honor your body, to learn more about it, to be compassionate, and understand that it is a beautiful and miraculous gift. Serving our higher purpose, our higher consciousness, and our higher spirit. Breathe and give thanks.
seat. And together to close, we'll lift our arms up. Reach them overhead, reaching into the source of all light and life. Guiding that connection deep down into the heart center. The light in me is honored and so grateful for the light within you all. Thank you so much for joining me in practice today. Om Shanti. Namaste.